So hey guys, this is part 2 of the instrument cluster repair. This is the cluster that we're currently looking at. Believe it or not, I'm actually in the finishing phases here. So what I've ended up doing is kind of taking this PCP board here. This is called a proto board. I've got some remnants here that I can show you guys. Very simple stuff. It's got etched on copper, and you just kind of stick your components through, a little bit of solder, and you're good to go. So what you have on the other side of this is 6 LEDs, and this is our PCB board here that holds everything mechanically in place. This is a plus 12 volt rail right here, and then this is a ground rail right here. We've got a couple of components here that you'll find on all of these instrument clusters, and a couple of components that are, kind of exclusive to mine. One is this 10 volt. This is an integrated circuit. It's a 10 volt voltage regulator. It gets connected to ground via a 22 ohm resistor. I'm not sure why they opted for a 22 ohm resistor, but it's definitely physical and it's definitely there, so I decided to put it in. And then that will regulate your temp gauge and fuel gauge and supply them with the needed 10 volts. It's your 12 volt input right here. So it's 12 volt input, ground with 22 ohm resistor, and then 10 volt output to temp and fuel gauge. And then here you have the actual senders going in. So this will go to the back of the car, to the fuel sender. This one will go to the front of the car, to the temp sender. And this is an LED, a warning light LED that's just simply grounded. Fairly straightforward. Now a circuit that you're not going to find on these other clusters, because it's not standard, is this one right here. And what this is a relay coil and a 1 kilo ohm resistor that you can kind of see poking through there, and then an IC in here. This is exclusive to the Megasquirt that I'm running. Reason being that the Megasquirt ECU supplies a digital signal, and this is a mechanical high voltage tach. So this tachometer was originally fitted to the negative side of the coil and would see 40 volt voltage spikes and see those, which the electronic computer is not capable of producing. So you run the spikes that it does produce in the millivolt area through this coil, which then converts them and upscales them to something that the tachometer can see. And the rest is just ground and plus 12 volts. Now I'm kind of putting the finishing touches on it, as I said. So I've got about 5 more LEDs to wire in here. The LEDs are all ground switched, I discovered, and almost all of them have a 500 ohm resistor, except for this one is high beams, and this is interesting how they kind of wired it. It's just got a ground, and then this one is actually positive switched through the light switch itself, and it has a 1 kilo ohm resistor. I decided to put the resistors into the wiring harness like this, some heat shrink tubing on it, and then I'm hoping that later today I'll be able to just kind of clean all this up a little bit and make it look a little bit nicer. And then hopefully plug it into the car and be good to go. That is the dream. Now, as I promised, this is the schematics that I drew. I did opt to do it all in German, but I'll post up a translation with this as well. And this is currently my color scheme that I'm using. I'll change it to the VW color scheme so that you'll have here on the left, you have all the pins on your connector. So that'll match up to the car's harness, which I chopped off of the car right here. So I have the original colors. However, those are of limited use because I've been told by people who used to work for VW back in the day that, especially during the 80s, depending on where your harness was produced, because they had different factories to make them, they would use different colors. So it's not quite as universal as you might find on a more modern vehicle. Speaking of more modern, this connector is, I don't know what this is. I don't know what type this is. It's a fairly decent connector, but it's impossible to buy and impossible to get the individual pins. So what we're doing instead is just a very simple, it's from Mauser Electronics. Big shout out to them. They just have the best tech support for prototyping stuff like this. This is just a Molex connector, individual pins, and then you've got the other housing down here that'll populate and put on the car. So that's that, and yeah, wish me luck. We're about to finish this up, put it on the car, and hopefully not blow every single circuit and fuse in this thing. Thanks, guys.